Rob Dauster here. I got Jeff Goodman with me.
Hell no.
John Fate.
Are we still live?
Field of 68 till I die.
I'm sorry, man. I blacked out.
Randolph Children.
DJ Khaled, you know the big DJ Khaled guy?
Hands thrown up and in.
Goodman needs to be fired all the time.
Josh Tasker.
You're going to beat people straight up.
You know the deal.
They have no swag. They have no nothing.
Jerel McNeal.
From the bluest of the blue bloods to the smallest of the mid-majors.
This is Field of 68 after dark.
Welcome in to what we can now officially say is the first postseason episode of Field of 68 After Dark of 2024. I'm John Martin, joined tonight on the panel by Rob Dauster, former Marquette guard Jerel McNeal. A lot to get to on the show today, fellas. We're going to catch up with Tucker DeVries over at Drake. Obviously, they get the job done in impressive fashion. Now, it did get tied up late. There was some drama. But I tell you what, those Drake Bulldogs, they're doing it again. So we're going to catch up with Tucker. Jeff Goodman got a chance to speak with him after the game. So that will take place. Also, Stetson punched their ticket. And we're going to catch up with Donnie Jones a little bit later in the show. So all that's coming up. We're on SiriusXM. We're on YouTube. We're everywhere. As you know, we always start with the latest and the greatest games on the college basketball slate, which means tonight, fellas, we're starting in the Big Ten. Iowa needed a win. They needed a win for their tournament hopes. Still got a chance, obviously, in the Big Ten tournament. But they needed a win to feel good about it going in. And Illinois denied them that opportunity, Rob Dauster. What a performance on the road, 73-61 by the Fighting Illini. And you mentioned it. In this performance alone, their defensive metrics over at KenPom just exploded. How impressive was that tonight for Illinois, Rob?
Incredibly impressive. The big knock that we had on them all season long, John, was can they guard? Can they get enough stops? Are they going to be good enough defensively? Are they a team that can find a way to be able to win 4 straight games in the NCAA tournament to get to the Final Four? If you know there's going to be a night when they're not playing well enough on the offensive end. And I think tonight was an example of them not playing well enough on the offensive end of the floor. They go on the road to an Iowa team that is desperate, that is in the spot where they have to get this win to be able to have a chance to make the NCAA tournament without having to make a run in the Big Ten tournament. And I mean, they were fine. They scored 73 points, 5 for 16 from 3, but it wasn't the quintessential elite Illinois offensive performance that we've seen in the past. And they still found a way to get it done. Gave up 61 points to an Iowa team that over the course of the last month had been a top 3 offense in America. Completely shut them down. 61 points on 75 possessions is about as good as you're going to be able to be on the defensive end of the floor. And my biggest question is, like, why aren't we seeing this more often from Illinois? Why do we have to go through these stretches where we watch them look like they couldn't guard me, you, our producer Trevor, our producer Dagan, and Jerel McNeal at the 5, right? Why do we have to watch these stretches where they are so bad defensively, and then we can see them go and do something like this where they shut down a team? Literally the only thing Iowa can do on a basketball court is score. So I do think that I teased this earlier, and I'm going to dive into it because I want to get you guys' opinion on this. Okay, I teased this earlier. I have a hot take on Illinois, and I feel like I'm kind of on an island when I say I feel very good about them being able to make a run deep in the NCAA tournament. And all I hear back is, well, can they guard? Well, can they get stops? Well, can they do this? Well, can they do that? This team reminds me so much of the last 2 Miami teams, right? Because they didn't, like, neither of those Miami teams were great defensively. And I think that what they were was a group of guys that could all go and get their own, right? The thing that made Miami so tough to deal with the last 2 years is they didn't really run all that much. They just kind of played iso ball, right? They were like, okay, I like this matchup. We're going to let Isaiah Wong cook. Okay, I like this matchup. We're going to let Jordan Miller cook. Okay, I like this matchup. Nigel Pack, it's your turn. And I kind of feel like that is a little bit of what Illinois does this year. Sometimes it's going to be Marcus Domask. Sometimes it's going to be Terrence Shannon. Sometimes it's Coleman Hawkins. But there's a lot of, like, the essence of booty ball is basically taking advantage of the one-on-one matchups that Brad Underwood believes that he's going to be able to win. And I feel like they have enough guys that can go out and get their own, where I know the narrative is they don't have a point guard. They can't do this. They like Terrence Shannon is not going to be able to carry them, but I don't know, man. I really like the makeup of this Illinois team and the fact that we've gotten two of their best defensive performances over the course of the last 6 weeks in the last 2 games that we've seen them play before heading into the Big Ten tournament. Jerel, I feel really good about this Illinois team, man. I like them heading into March. I think they're peaking at the right time. Give me all the Illini stock. I'm in. I'm buying in. I'm the anti-Tyler Hansborough right now.
Jerel, what did you think? Are you in the same boat?
I'm with you 100%. I'm with you 100%. And it's just funny because Rob kind of spoke to a lot of stuff that I was going to say. But I kind of got a little slack on here not too long ago when I said something about Illinois and, me having worries about just some of their late clock management offensively. And, some of the Illini faithful kind of came after me and was like, it's the defensive end of the ball. And they weren't wrong in saying that, but me at the same time, and this is just the way that I view the game, is that I don't worry about them as much because they still have good positional defenders. They have guys that can guard and keep the ball in front. They got Terrence Shannon is a good guard, good defender. Ty Rogers is an elite defender, and Coleman Hawkins is even a really good positional defender and another guy that you can play small ball with and even switch some. So they'll have opportunities to stop teams and hold teams. And like tonight, as we saw, they kind of shut Iowa's water off, and that's kind of been Iowa's makeup all year, is that they were trying to outscore people, but they were able to lock in. So on a night that they weren't great offensively necessarily, they were able to come in and get a big roll win pretty handily there. But I think I'm with Rob on this one. I think this is definitely a team I can see at least getting to the Sweet 16. And I wouldn't be shocked if they go under that as well.
Jerel, I had this conversation with someone the other day where I was saying, like, on paper, you look at this Illinois team and they should be switchable 1 through 5, especially with their starting 5, right? Like, if Ty Rogers is your air quotes point guard here, right? And he's like 6'4" and 220 and a bulldog. And Coleman Hawkins is your 5 man. And like on his best day, Coleman Hawkins is one of the best defenders in college basketball. Then you combine that with Terrence Shannon and Quincy Guerrier and Marcus Domask, and you got a bunch of guys that in theory should be able to guard up and down the lineup, right? And the guy I was talking to who is an NBA scout was like, well, here's the problem. Quincy Guerrier is not – he's athletic, but he's not really switchable, right? Marcus Domask is big, but he's kind of slow. Coleman Hawkins can get distracted by anything that's going on in the crowd over here. Like, he just – sometimes getting him to focus on what his job is on the defensive end of the floor is not the easiest task. Where do you – I know you got a couple guys from your Mean Streets AAU program that are on Illinois right now, so I know you watch that team a lot. Where do you stand on that?
I mean, you're spot on with that, and they got pretty good positional size. And like you said, I wouldn't say that they're a switchable team, but it's primarily because of Guerrier. Obviously, Domask isn't the quickest guy laterally, but just watching him enough games and getting a large enough sample size, he's got good size and he competes. He really tries to guard the ball well. And obviously that means something when you got other guys around you who are going to be in help situations too. But I don't know what the disconnect has been. So like I said, the Illini fans aren't wrong in that they've been abysmal on defense, specifically the last 2 months. They haven't played well, but when you got guys that can guard, I don't know if it's a disconnect with the game plans or the schemes or what it is, but if they need to dumb it down a little bit and go to something like that more often and just switch everything and try to make other teams beat you playing one-on-one. There's not a lot of teams out here at the college level that can play and just play matchup ball and go ISO and beat you. A lot of times it's going to bog them down offensively. It's going to stop ball movement, and it's going to, in most cases, make the offense really easy to guard. So even if they need to simplify things, I think it'd be good. I wouldn't bat an eye as well at throwing Hawkins at the 5 and getting a little bit more speed in, maybe get a little bit smaller at the guard position, slide Domask over to the 4, and Shannon and Rogers are kind of interchangeable. Both of those guys can guard 2, 3, 1, so it doesn't really matter. And maybe go all in on the small ball and try to switch everything.
Yeah, a few more we need to hit here in the Big Ten. Michigan State loses a crusher to Indiana on the road as a 4-point favorite, 65-64. Tyson Walker, he did everything he could, 30 points as you see there, but Khalil Ware was unstoppable. And obviously, we talked a lot about that Michigan State interior just sort of not being good enough and trying all the different guys that they have and it just not being enough. Rob, to me, because we know Mike Woodson's coming back, to me, this discussion should now focus on why maybe not necessarily here on field of 68. Maybe there's been some more cynicism here recently, but it still feels like when you check most places, Michigan State's safely in. And I ask you, is that right?
I mean, look, the way that I would phrase it is the metrics are really, really good, right? The metrics look great. I feel like we are still kind of remembering where we were probably 3 weeks ago with this team, right before they went out and they lost 4 of their last 5, before they got to the point where we're sitting here with a record that's 18-13 and 10-10. You listen to our guys over at Fielding the 68, and the thing that stands out to me more than anything else, like especially Rocco hammers this point home. What have you done on the road? Who have you beaten on the road? What have you done away from home? The wins that Michigan State has, the best wins, Baylor on a neutral, which was in Detroit, effectively a home game. Illinois at home, Indiana State at home. Their best road wins at Maryland, who stinks, right? They may be a quad 1 win, but they rank 72nd. I don't want to hear anything about it. They stink. They won at Penn State. Okay, whatever. And they won at Michigan, which is like, I'm pretty sure that the 3 of us, if you rolled us out there, we could probably have a pretty good chance to be able to compete at Michigan. Yeah. So the metrics they have very, very strong computer numbers. I think that right now they are.
But what do the eyeballs say, Rob? I mean, I'm over the metrics, man, because this is not a situation where the eyeballs and the metrics agree. This team is mid. So the idea, like, they are,
but everybody in the Big Ten
I feel like they should be sweating, and we should be talking about them nationally as if they should be sweating.
Yes, they should. They absolutely should be sweating. And if they lose to Minnesota in the first round of the Big Ten tournament, like, it might be a wrap. Absolutely. Now, the way that it kind of sets up for them is, I don't know if it's a great scenario or a horrible scenario, but if they beat Minnesota, then you get Purdue. And if you beat Purdue in the quarterfinals of the Big Ten tournament on Friday, you're dancing. It doesn't matter what you do, right? You are in. That is a win-win situation for them. To me, the thing that you're worried about here is that if you're like, my guess is that after losing 4 out of 5 to end the season, they're probably somewhere in that like 11 seed in that playing game kind of scenario. Dayton. And if you lose in the first round, it probably, like, losing to Minnesota on a neutral is not going to kill your resume, but it means that you can't add to it. So let's say Villanova makes a run of the Big East, or Providence beats Georgetown and then picks off Creighton on Friday night in the quarterfinals of the Big East tournament, right? If you get someone like, I don't know, Richmond making a run and winning the A10 tournament, so that Dayton is going to end up being an at-large bid. If you get something like UNLV making a run and winning the Mountain West tournament, so that you all of a sudden have 7 teams coming out of the Mountain West instead of 6, like, you can't add any more to your resume, and that's the problem. I'll tell you this though, like, I understand how these resumes work, and I get that it's not just like what you want or what you've done or what we should root for, but there's no possible world where I am more interested in seeing Michigan State in the tournament than I am in seeing Indiana State in the NCAA tournament, even if it's in a playing game. Like, send Indiana State to a playing game. Here's a comparison that I'm going to make, okay? I'm going to give you a profile. This is what Indiana State's profile is right now. They are 28-6 overall. They went 17-3 in the Missouri Valley. They won the Missouri Valley. Their KenPom is 41. Their net is 26. Loyola Chicago in 2018 on Selection Sunday was 28-5, 15-3 in the Missouri Valley. The Missouri Valley champions with a KenPom of 45 and a net in the mid-40s, right? So basically, if Indiana State can't get a bid to the tournament, then what we are telling everybody is that Loyola Chicago team that had one of the most incredible runs that we've ever seen to a Final Four. Remember, they had like 3 buzzer beaters on their way to the Final Four. They had Sister Jean on their way to the Final Four. They were one of the most memorable teams that we've seen in college basketball in the last decade, right? That team doesn't matter, right? That team's not good enough. We don't want teams like that in the NCAA tournament. We should want teams like that. We should want teams like Indiana State. We should want stories like Robbie Avila. That's your guy, Jerel. We should want stories like Josh Schertz, who has one of the most incredible coaching come-ups that I've ever heard of in my entire life, right? Shout out to CJ Moore of The Athletic. Go sign up for The Athletic. I'm not going to give the details of the story away. It's fantastic, phenomenal. He shouldn't be here right now. So Give Indiana State a chance over Michigan State. It's not going to happen. It's going to be Michigan State because, if anything, where we are with the NCAA trying to make sure and appease that these power conference programs don't want to break away, those are going to be the guys that end up getting the bids over someone like an Indiana State. I don't want to see it. I don't need to see Tyson Walker go for 30 and watch Michigan State end up losing in a playing game to know what they are. We know what they are. They had plenty of chances. They went 18-13 in one of the shittiest Big Tens that we've seen in the last decade. Get them out of here, man. Send them back with Indiana. They have the same record as Indiana, Jerel. The same fucking
Absolutely,
record.
I agree.
Yeah.
Because you either put both or none in. It's that simple. And you're not putting Indiana in. So you can't put Michigan State in. Right, Jerel?
I don't understand it still, and I just sat there and looked at it before the game started, and I said they're walking in with the same exact record, and essentially nobody even remotely views Indiana even close to the bubble. But we just like you said, man, we're throwing Michigan State in, and it's a shame because it might end up happening, especially if they get 2 wins. I think they're in for sure, man. But they'll easily be the least deserving dancing team in the field. Like that team doesn't deserve to get it a automatic, in that large NCAA tournament bid. They just don't deserve it, man. It's, as far as just coming from where expectations were to how they've performed all year, they've been completely inconsistent. They don't have quality wins. Like, it's everywhere. And then, we got people threatening they want to fire Mike Woodson. I just don't get it, man. But yeah, I think I definitely want to see Indiana State in, and I was gonna make my plea for that too, Rob, man. In this day and age when we constantly hearing everybody bitching about there's no stars in the college game, the NCAA tournament needs my boy Goggles, aka Larry Nerd, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. You know what I'm saying? We need that, man. We need stars like that in the tournament. Let them in.
Let them in. We'll talk about that game.
Let me say one thing real quick, John. The NCAA created this metric called the net to be able to determine who the best teams are, right? When it comes to kind of grading out how good a win is. Well, Indiana State right now is number 26 in the net after this loss to Drake. They are a quad 1 win according to Michigan, according to the net. So one of the reasons Michigan State is going to get into the tournament is beating Indiana State, because that's a quad 1 win in the Breslin Center. And you're going to tell me but we got them as 26. We got them as a quad 1 win. They're part of the reason why Michigan State's getting in, but they can't get in because they play in the Missouri Valley. So 23 of the 28 wins are quad 3 or quad 4. I'm not going to curse. I'm done cursing. Sorry, Sirius XM. I'm not going to do it. You guys know
for thee, not for me. All right, we'll get into that. I also got to touch on Purdue in a wild ending there on senior day. Lots more to come. Field of 68 after dark.
The best month of the year is here, which is why you need to know that we are now partnered with BetMGM. We'll be using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks, and we'll have special offers for the listeners and the viewers of the Field of 68 throughout the conference and NCAA tournament. If you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, you can use the bonus code FIELD150 and you'll get $150 in free bets on your first wager with BetMGM, regardless of whether or not that bet hits. Here's how you make it work. Download the BetMGM app and sign up using the bonus code FIELD150. Deposit at least $5 and place your first wager on any game, and you get $150 in free bets regardless of the outcome. Just make sure you use that bonus code FIELD150 when you sign up. And most importantly, we have some fun stuff coming up for the conference tournaments and for the NCAA tournament. Bet insurance tokens, college hoops odds boosts, and what I love the most, a nice little parlay boost, as well as a ridiculous array of prop bets for anything that you could possibly imagine betting on in March and in early April. BetMGM is the king of the prop bet. So go download the BetMGM app, use Field150 as the code, and sign up today. And while I've got you here, a quick request. The best way to support the Field of 68 content that you get here for absolutely free is to engage with it. Rate and review the podcast. Like and share YouTube videos. Tell your friends about us. It all helps in a world where the algorithm is king. And now, back to our show.
Welcome back, Field of 68 After Dark, here on SiriusXM, on YouTube, on X, on Facebook, like we always are. We're going to catch up with Drake star Tucker DeVries after the Drake Bulldogs got the automatic bid. And look, in a bit of an upset, I think they did close as 2.5 3-point underdogs. So get into all of that with Tucker and some other mid-major tickets that got punched. But do need to mention last game for Zach Edey, Rob, at Mackey. And it was, look, it was in control there late. My condolences to anybody that had Purdue minus 9.5. That was I'm just going to be honest, that was a loser move from AJ Storr. I didn't have Purdue, but I can only imagine how I would feel if I lost because this dude stole a ball from a kid who was trying to run the clock out with the shot clock off and dunked it. That's another discussion. Zach Edey, 25, 14, and 3 blocks, capping off just an amazing regular season career for Purdue, Rob. And it's kind of more of the same, right, with them. They just keep winning. This train keeps rolling.
Yeah, and look, Purdue is Purdue. I think the single takeaway that I have from this game is that Braden Smith rolled his ankle by stepping backwards after falling out of bounds and rolling it on a referee's foot, and he came out of the game for 2 minutes and ended up playing 38 minutes. So I'm assuming it's probably not that bad, right? Anyone that's played basketball has rolled an ankle before. So just making sure that he is back to 100% when you get to the tournament that actually matters is the biggest priority here. But I thought that tonight was the quintessential Zach Edey performance. 25 points, 14 rebounds, 8 offensive boards, 7 for 14 from the floor, 11 for 14 from the line, and oh, by the way, 3 assists and 3 blocks. And the thing that's wild about that is that's kind of just what he averages, right? That's just kind of a normal night for Zach Edey. And I think that we've all gotten a little bit too accustomed to the idea that there's this 7'4", 300-pound monster that can move the way that he can move, that has the touch that he has, that is putting up these numbers, and just kind of say it's normal. It's Zach Edey. It's Purdue. This is what he does, right? 25, 14, 3 on 7 for 14 and 11 for 14 from the line is an absurd stat line. And especially when that is a career game for 99.999% of Division I basketball players. And that is just a kind of a normal, we don't even bat an eye when Zach Edey does that. And he's been doing it basically for 2 years straight now. And I do believe that this narrative about how he gets officiated, how he plays, does he get called for too many, or do too many fouls get called against him? Does he not get called for enough of his own fouls? It's kind of clouded the fact that we are watching one of the greatest college basketball players that we have ever seen. A guy that came back to school when he had the opportunity to go pro. A guy that has worked himself from backing up and playing basically on what was effectively the G League team at IMG 6 years ago to being the best player in the sport, a legitimate generational talent. And I know we're supposed to do toast of the night at the end. I'm doing my toast of the night right now to Zach Edey. Last game in Mackey Arena. I am going to miss covering him. I'm going to miss watching him play. He is one of the most insightful, the friendliest, the greatest dudes that I've ever met. I told the story before, but the first time that we were at Mackey last year, after the game, he literally walked. There was a line of kids and dads and grandpas and families and people just standing there waiting along the front row. And he went for an hour, probably an hour 15, and signed every single autograph and took every single selfie, right? When we went this year, there was no line for people to take photos and get autographs because he already got all of them. Everybody already has it. So I'm going to miss him when he's gone. I don't think that we appreciate what he's done enough. And I just wanted to make sure that I got that off my chest and had my little soliloquy. So I'm going to step down off of my soapbox. Jerel, I'm going to pass the mic to you. Go ahead, sir.
I think you pretty much covered everything, Rob, and
you didn't leave any love for Jerel to give.
It's
man.
really, hey, look, it's really good insight. It's really good insight, though, man. I'm spot on with you, man. Like I said, just in the last segment, man, we're looking for. Everybody's talking about there aren't any stars. Guys like Zach Edey kind of get underappreciated. What he's done the last 2 years has been nothing short of remarkable. So, and like you said, we don't even bat an eye at that anymore. 25, 14, 3 and 3, it's just another night in the office for him. And to be honest with you, I'm looking forward to seeing how things play out with him going forward, man. Because he's a hell of a player. He's a game changer, and crazy enough to even think about this, man. But he's still getting better. He's still getting better, man. I just watch his patience and everything, man. From even last year to this year, man, he lets the game come to him. He trusts his teammates. And you know, I mean, he does impress. He doesn't force, man. And no matter what, he's just such a big component of what teams try to do offensively and defensively. He always seems to end up making a huge impact in the game and coming out with double-digit, 20-plus points and double-digit rebounds and a couple blocks as well always. So, man, major shout-out to Zach Edey for sure.
Hey, I want to follow up real quick with you, Jerel, on this Purdue team because I've sort of felt it. We've talked about it, you know, and I know that Purdue they're not strangers to winning the Big Ten and being dominant in the regular season, but they feel like a different iteration this go around. Do you agree? And if you do, what is it about them specifically that makes them different from past Purdue teams that we've seen?
I'm not sure if it's anything specific that's going to make them so different, but I think just watching them all year that they've had that edge. And to be honest, I think this for sure is when guys in the locker room at this point, they've been waiting an entire year to get back to this point of the season. And for the most part, they've rolled throughout and they haven't been very inconsistent. You know, they've been just locked in doing their job each and every night, drop a few here. Every blue moon, but for the most part, they've been super consistent. But you better be assured that all those guys that were in that locker room and have been taking these early exits last year, this is the time of year that they're waiting for. And anything short, I feel like of a Final Four run is going to be a letdown and a disappointment for everybody in Purdue, the entire team, and the fans as well too. And I'm sure they all want. They don't want any better way to send Edey out than at least get to a Final Four. So anything short of that is going to be a major letdown.
On to other tickets that got punched in college basketball, Rob Dauster. The Drake Bulldogs, a 2-seed, in what was just a great back and forth game. You know, what great you game. Want in a tournament final. Drake wins 84-80. And we'll see, you know, what happens with Indiana State. But how about this performance from Drake? And, you know, I believe this is the second year in a row they've done this, and the consistency of that program in the Missouri Valley, Rob.
And I was texting with let's just say a source in the coaching industry, right? And we give all this love to Josh Schertz, and I think that it's very much deserved, right? What he's done at Indiana State since he got there is unbelievable. I think it's why people are going to make an effort to keep tapping into some of the head coaching talent in the D2 and D3 ranks. We saw what Tobin Anderson did last year in his first year at FDU. So it's not to take away anything from Josh Schertz and what he's been able to do, but this guy was basically like, look, Tucker DeVries has won the Missouri Valley. He's kind of dominated that league for like the last 5 or 6 seasons, and he's got them to a point where they are consistently one of the best teams in that conference. And you have Schertz getting all of this love and deservedly so, but how come there's not more attention being paid to the job that DeVries has done since he's gotten to Drake? And it's been fun to watch. It helps when your son is an absolute baller, right? Like, it makes it very easy to be able to just kind of say, hey, you know what, Mom, we're gonna bring him over here and he's gonna play for me, and we're gonna keep him around for an extra year. We're gonna make sure that he's not going anywhere. I don't know what those NIL payments look like, but I'm sure that allowance got bumped up just a little bit once he realized that this dude was going to be able to get 20 a night. But I mean, they're good. They're good. They're going to be able to win a game, just like Indiana State would be able to win a game if we gave them a shot in the NCAA tournament. Give them a shot. Two bid Valley. Make it a hashtag. Let's make this happen. Who do I need to call on the committee to convince them? Two bid Valley.
Well, we got a chance here at the Field of 68 to catch up with the man of the hour, Tucker DeVries, who again had 27 in the win. Punch your ticket, Drake. You're going to the tournament. Here's our conversation from earlier today with Tucker DeVries from Drake.
All right, now pleased to be joined by the guy with the nets around his neck. It looks good on you, Tucker. How you doing? Congrats.
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate
It's a good feeling for sure.
It's funny. So when I was watching you in the post game after you beat Indiana State, they stormed back. I mean, that was a hell of an ending. Probably a little bit closer than you would have liked. But the emotions hit me as I was watching you celebrate with your dad and your teammates. You've been there before. You went last year. So I'm wondering, what's the difference? Was there a difference from last year to this year? Because the emotions poured out today.
Yeah, today was definitely an emotional one for me. I lost a cousin that, is usually there in the conference tournament every year. And then to see his parents, my aunt, uncle, and his brother there in the front row celebrating, kind of hit me all at once. And then, just the adversity I've kind of had to go throughout the year with injuries and, just kind of proud of this group and myself and kind of fighting through that and, to finally be able to, feel this moment and really get to this point.
I mean, your game has changed this year a little bit. Like, forget about your scoring going up. To me, it's more kind of your game has expanded. You become more of a playmaker for your teammates for a completely different team too. Like, that's, I don't think what people understand is you've kind of flipped this roster and still had the success you had. What were you trying to do going into this year in terms of being able to expand your game?
Yeah, we had, obviously last year we had Roman Penn, who was able to facilitate and make plays for so many guys around him. And we knew coming into this year, somebody was going to have to pick up that void and it was going to be a group effort. But I think I made a focus on that to try and pick up a little bit of that, what Roman was able to do. And part of that's, the game kind of slows down a little bit each year. And naturally, I think the ball is just more in my hands more, which gives me the opportunities to make plays for other guys.
Everybody's talked about Indiana State all year. I'm sure you've heard it. And they earned it. They earned the number 1 seed. But how much of a chip on your shoulder did you have coming into this game in this tournament?
Yeah, the beginning of that cutout, was it just Indiana State?
Yeah, just everybody had been talking about them all year, Tucker. And again, they deserved it. They played great basketball all year. They won the regular season title. But how much did that kind of still piss you off a little bit of like, hey, nobody's really talking about us?
Yeah, I think a little bit, but like you said, to their credit, they've earned everything that they've had come their way this year. They're a great team, really well coached, and certainly, in my opinion, an NCAA tournament team. But I think coming in, the respect we had for them, we certainly did not take them lightly at all. Knew we had to come out, and it was going to be 40 minutes. And even when we had that lead, we were talking about in the timeout about how they're capable of, they can happen fast, and they sure proved us right.
Yeah.
I'm glad we were able to make a few plays at the end to seal it off.
Hey, you and I talked before the game last year at the NCAA tournament when you played Miami. We talked prior to that. You were all pumped up for it. You didn't have the individual performance or the team performance that you wanted. How much has that stuck with you? And again, you never want to fast forward too much because it's a process. I'm sure your dad's told you that 100 times, right? You've got to kind of get better every day, which you've done. But again, how much have you had kind of that picture of you struggling against Miami in your mind for the last year?
It's definitely stuck in my mind. Well, individually, the performance, I can tell you right now, is 1 for 13. And then as a group effort, I think we were up 4 with 3 minutes left. Against, to credit a great Miami team, I think they ended up going to the Final Four. But that's kind of stuck. It stung a little bit, and it's been a goal of mine to get back to that position to be able to finish it off.
So your emotions right now, describe them. Just describe like what it's like right now for you.
Yeah, it comes at you really fast. Yeah, I was in a little bit of foul trouble, so I was on the bench. I was sitting next to one of our assistants. I think we were out 15, 14, something like that with like 13 minutes to go. I can tell you right now, these 13 minutes are going to be the longest 13 minutes ever. And then once that horn sounded, then everything happens really fast. You're, kind of overwhelmed, a lot of emotions, a lot of excitement, a lot of relief, and just to be able to do it with this group of guys and to celebrate together and enjoy this moment together was really special.
Well, listen, congrats on getting back. I know you're not going to have another one for 13 this year, so I'm not worried. I know you're not worried. Enjoy the next week because you can do that. That's the beauty of getting in this early. You can watch some ball and stay up late. And but listen, congrats, man. You've had a hell of a year.
Yeah, really appreciate it. Thank you.
You got it. Take care.
Good stuff there from Jeff Goodman catching up with Drake star Tucker DeVries. We have a lot more still to come here as, of course, the Big East bracket set, Mountain West bracket set. It was still a hellacious weekend, final weekend of the regular season. Going to catch up with Donnie Jones from Stetson as well. They're going to their first ever NCAA tournament. So still a lot more to come here on Field of 68 After Dark. Stick around.
There is nothing better in sports than tournament time, which is why I need to tell you guys about our partners over at Rhythm. If you're into sports betting, you need Rhythm, the place for data-backed props and picks. For those that are unfamiliar, Rhythm, spelled RITHMM, is the go-to mobile app for player props and game picks. Backed by AI predictive models, Rhythm helps you make smarter and faster betting decisions across all sports, but particularly college basketball. With Rhythm, you get data-backed picks for every single Division I game, every single day. Users get free picks daily with the ability to upgrade to unlimited access. If you want to increase your edge and win more bets, go to the link in the description and download Rhythm today. That's RITHMM, the place for data-backed props and picks. And while we're here, let me tell you about our newest partner for the month of March, Splash Sports, the home of certified community competition, where you get to play against your friends and not the house. Whatever game it is that you are playing, from survivors to tiers to pick X, the safest way to play for real money without the hassle of having to track down deposits or worry about payments is through Splash. They have partnered with PaySafe, the best deposit and payment system in the world, to ensure that money stays in safe hands and is delivered to the right places. To join the Field of 68 Survivor Madness, click the link in our profile below and join in. Entries are $5 a pop with a prize pool of up to $4,500. Winner take all. Join Splash and come prove that you're smarter than us.
Welcome back to Field of 68 After Dark. It's the first, it's the last. How about this? It's like a solar eclipse. It's the last regular season show of the year, and it's the first postseason show of the year. Because we had both things happen today. We had postseason games and regular season games. That's amazing. It's quite amazing that we pulled this off, boys. Okay, who punched their ticket today? We here we go. Morehead State, Longwood, Drake, and Stetson. You're going dancing. Now, we're going to get to with Donnie Jones here in just a minute. But Rob, I will ask you, because we didn't get a chance to really expound on it in the last segment. Indiana State probably not going to be in, right? I mean, and that does feel like
I don't want the energy
tragedy
out there. Nope, we're not putting that energy out there. Nope. Positive vibes only. They're getting in. They're dancing.
Okay. I hope they're in.
But
to be a league.
College basketball, John.
But what is the likelihood?
100%.
100%. 3 seed, right? I mean, honestly, I would once you get past the 5 line, it gets shaky anyway. So I would throw him in as a 6. Why not? Right? Just for goggles. Is everybody okay with that?
Yeah, that's probably
okay. All right, settled.
Get him in there, man.
Settled.
Get him in there.
Settled. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, we'll see. We will keep the PVO. We will keep positive eyes only for them. We did get a chance before we get into some other games to catch up with Donnie Jones, Jeff Goodman, Matt McCall. So if we could do that now, Trevor, this is the conversation a little earlier today with Donnie Jones, who just led Stetson to their first ever NCAA tournament appearance.
Your players were resilient, much like they were the other night. Just talk about your team, Coach. and how resilient those guys are, and the plays that you guys made down the stretch of the game, press offense to be able to get the ball in bounds and not panic late in games. I mean, you have a resilient group.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. And I tell you, it's we're playing without Josh Smith, who's one of our best players, blew his ACL out 2 weeks ago, and our backup point guard, Sincere Harrison, sprained his ACL. He's been out for 14 days. So, we had guys play 40 minutes tonight too, and so we haven't had depth in our bench. But I think the biggest thing, we got down there 10, and we just really don't have a lot of depth at the front court. We start 4 guards, a freshman being one of them, and Tristan, and we thought the zone would just kind of try to slow them down or confuse them. So we just kept mixing it, trying to figure out when to trap, take away the 3-point line, just try to keep us alive. And felt at halftime, just had to put the ball in Jalen Blackman's hand. Didn't get him enough looks in the first half, and we just put it in his hand. And you know what? If we were going to win it, he was going to take us there, and he did it second half.
He was so good, Donnie. Like, you got him a year at Grand Canyon. He's been with you for the last couple of years. How did you get him, and did you realize he was this explosive? I mean, he struggled against Jacksonville, but, man, the last 20, 30 minutes today, he was unbelievable.
Yeah, he was outstanding. Jalen, his dad, James Blackman, great basketball family. His brother played at Indiana. They're just an incredible group. And, Jalen came here, and I'd heard about Jalen through some, another player was on our team at the time. And he came up, his dad come up 4 times. They sat down, they talked. I think they were looking for a place where he could showcase who he is. And for our coach, was fortunate that he trusted us. And he could have left last year. He's newcomer of the year, first team, had all the big schools offering him a lot of money. And you know what? He stayed. And this year was all about, him getting better and having a chance. And he stuck with it. So I'm just really proud to have the opportunity to see him have success here.
You want to catch the full interview, head over to YouTube where we'll have the whole thing posted. I will say, Donnie Jones has certainly been around the block before we get into the conference tournaments here. That's a cool thing. It's not easy to do. It's very difficult to do in this day and age, taking a team to its first tournament appearance ever, Rob. That's good stuff from Donnie.
Yeah. And, he's been through it too. He didn't, took the fall for something at UCF, and, it hasn't been the easiest road for him to get here. And it's nice. We all know enough people in this coaching industry, right? Where it feels like somebody always has an enemy, right? They've always done somebody wrong, or there's someone that wants the worst for them. And there's always someone that's got someone bad to say about somebody else, right? You don't really find that with Donnie Jones. It seems like most people generally either like this dude or really, really like this dude. Or if you're Matt McCall, consider him your mentor and one of the most important people to get you that has gotten him into this business. So happy for him. Happy for Stetson. And I'll tell you what, man, scoring 43 points in a championship game to get your team to the NCAA tournament. That's a pretty good feeling, Jerel. I don't know if it gets much better than that, man. Maybe scoring 43 in an upset of a 2 seed. We'll see.
Yeah, about to say that's the only thing that gets any better if they get a big one in the tourney, man. But hats off to those guys. Congrats to Coach. And they got some hoopers on that team, man. Older guys, a couple Belgian guys. Cool little mix there. And then Blockman is a baller, man. He's been filling it up all year. So I'm looking forward to seeing those guys when the madness begins.
All right, on to some conference tournament brackets. The Big East matchups are set. Jerel, we'll start with you because we sort of probably can assume where Rob is on this.
Do we need to talk about the Big East, though? We know what's going to happen here, Jerel. We know what's going to happen.
That kind of is where I'm going.
UConn.
Where's the first test for UConn? Is it not until the title game?
Man, they got a pretty sweet setup. I won't deny that. That other side of the bracket is going to be a lot more challenging to get through, I would imagine, especially for Marquette and with hopefully getting Kolick back, what'll end up being like his first games back if he does end up suiting up the first night on Thursday. But
would you play him?
Get through. Number one, obviously they know more than than the information that we're privy to. But I will say this. Generally, those type of injuries, anything dealing with your core, I think they said it was an oblique injury. It's tough, man, in a sport like basketball, because every movement, every dribble, every shot, every pass is some type of core activation that's involved in it all the time. So I'm sure they did a really good job of, first of all, not pressing him to play these last couple of games, even though they weren't technically out of range to compete for a conference championship. But I think they got the right mindset with it. I think you at least try to play him. If he can go Thursday, you give it a couple minutes and you see if he's actually, you know what I mean, if it's any grimacing and he doesn't look like himself, now I think you obviously got to shut him down. But I mean, I would give him a go, man. The Big East tournament is a different beast, man. It's a special tournament, so I'm sure he wants to play. I'm sure he's giving Shaka absolute hell by not suiting up. Oh my God,
there's no.
I'm sure Shaka's sick and tired of him. Yeah, I could imagine. That dude is a gamer, man. He's similar to how I was, like, man, like, shit, if I ain't dead, I'm playing, man. So I know he's probably getting on Shaka's last nerve. So I can't imagine him at least not letting him test it out for the first game.
You have to. I think you have to. Even if it's you bring him off the bench, you're playing for 12 minutes as nothing but a decoy to stand in the corner, and you put him on whoever the worst player on the other team is, right? Just so you could say, so Shaka goes, even if they lose, Shaka goes in the press conference afterwards, like, yeah, you know, Tyler's back. He's healthy. We're just trying to get his legs back under him. He couldn't do anything for the last 2 weeks, so we didn't want to go out there and kind of force him, maybe have a hamstring injury or something like that. So he's back. He'll be ready. He's fine. He's good to go. So that the committee doesn't change. If he doesn't play, that's a very easy way for the committee to say, like, all right, well, we don't know if Tyler Kohler's going to be back, so maybe we'll drop him a seed or two, right?
Exactly.
You got to just put him out there, even if it's for 15 minutes as a decoy.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely.
I know that this is a tournament, Rob, that is more important than the actual one that they play afterward. So have you already planned the parade for the Huskies?
No, I'm not really involved in the parade planning. I tried to get involved in the parade planning last year for the national title that UConn won when they cut down the nets in Houston. I don't know if you saw that, John. But UConn won the national title
blacked out
last year. Yeah. No, like I tried to get in the parade planning, and they were like, "Rob, you don't play for the team. Get the fuck out of here. Stop calling us." So that was a wrap for that. But
yeah, no, I think it's certainly, you know, I think UConn's out there around minus 135 to win the Big East tournament. I know it's got a minus in front of it, but it's the only way I could look. Honestly, it's the only way I could look. All right. The Mountain West bracket, which this is one that I'm really excited for because the Mountain West, every team in the Mountain West is exactly the same. So like that's like they all play really well at home. They all have really nice wins and really stupid losses. So I'm looking very much forward to this. Utah State, you see there is the 1 seed, Nevada the 2, Boise is the 3. Rob, it does feel like, I mean, you know, with Colorado State is the 7. I mean, I feel like there are legitimately 5, 6, 7 different ways this could go. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think if I had to pick a favorite right now, it would be very hard for me to go away from San Diego State, knowing what they've done in tournaments past, knowing how well they can play. I love Boise State. I think that they are as underrated as it comes when it comes to anybody in the Mountain West right now. Like, they just went on the road and they beat San Diego State in Viejas, coming back from a deficit in the second half to be able to do it. Like, that is a damn good basketball team that didn't get the love that they should have gotten in the non-conference because they scheduled hard. Playing at the Thomas and Mack Center means that UNLV is going to be playing home games the entire time. It's not going to be a home crowd, but it's going to be their building. So they'll probably have a good contingent there. And honestly, like, if they beat San Diego State, we're going to have a real conversation about what their at-large resume kind of looks like. Because if you look at it since they got Keelan Boone back, like, they have been really, really, really good. But the team that I'm rooting for, what I would love to see, John, is I would love to see New Mexico play UNLV in the title game. Because if New Mexico plays UNLV in the title game, then we are just about guaranteed to get 7 bids from the Mountain West into the NCAA tournament. And I want that more than anything else. You know why? Because that means Virginia can kick rocks. That means Michigan State can kick rocks. That means Colorado can kick rocks. That means all these power conference teams that are trying to destroy the fucking sport can go kick rocks and go do whatever else they want. We need to watch all these fun Mountain West teams, man. You give me, imagine this scenario, right? Let's just say St. John's beats Seton Hall and they clinch their bid to the tournament, but they get sent to Dayton, right? And let's just say New Mexico wins their first game and then they get past Boise State, the 3 seed, and then they get past whoever they would play, whether it's Colorado State, Nevada in the semifinals. They make it to the finals and they're an NCAA tournament team, right? New Mexico probably headed to Dayton. Well, if we get another Big East team in Dayton, right, and you get another Mountain West team in Dayton, there's a very real chance that we could get Richard Pitino against Rick Pitino, St. John's against New Mexico. Who says no? Who says no to father against son in Dayton in the first 4? Not me. I'm here for it. That's theater. I want that to happen.
Yeah. Jerel, what do you make of that? What do you make of the bracket? Who do you like out of this thing?
I do like I like San Diego State for sure, but I definitely think Nevada can win it. I do think Nevada could win it. Obviously, I don't know if they would be the favorite, and they would have a lot tougher games than Utah State up top. But I think they can put together a little run here. But listen, the only thing I worry about with this league is kind of like what you said, though, John. I don't know who's good or who's for real. Rob, I don't know if we need 7 Mountain West teams in because I think that might end up coming back. That might come back to bite us with Indiana State though, man. How we gonna get Indiana State in? How we gonna?
We don't need 3 from the Pac-12. We don't need 2 from the Pac-12. We need 1 from the Pac-12. We need Arizona.
I gotta figure this out on field. I gotta figure this out on field in the 68. I just want to make sure that they don't knock out the Sycamores, man. Because the world needs that, and I don't want to end up with 8 Mountain West teams in, and then a couple more of the mid-majors. Yeah, we got to spread this thing around a little bit, but obviously New Mexico can definitely win too, man. I do like New Mexico. They're a different team at home, but if they can put together some games here in Vegas, they can obviously get to the championship round too. So,
look, all I got to say, fellas, is if you look at the bottom half of that bracket, Nevada is plus 500, Boise State is plus 600, New Mexico is plus 600, Colorado State is plus 600.
I wouldn't want to play Colorado State.
Yeah, well, I'm probably staying away from them at the same number as Nevada and Boise State because you got to play an extra game in there. But San Diego State and Utah State are the 2 favorites, and they're on the same side of the bracket. One of them ain't making it to the title game. If I'm taking someone here, it's probably Boise State, right? You get plus 600, you get a little bit of extra juice on that number.
Yeah.
They just finished second in the conference. They just won at San Diego State. I don't know, man. Plus 600 for the Bronx.
Everybody needs to be plus 600 in this league because they're all the same fucking team. I will say it was some weird shenanigans last night. Did you guys see the Utah State ending by any chance? Yeah. I mean, obviously you saw the ending. You saw the shot, but did you see what happened after the shot?
Yeah, I'm about to say nah.
Yeah, so Utah State fouls New Mexico up 3.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, I know what you. Yes.
Yeah. So how by the way, the spread is Utah State -3. They're up 3. Utah State fouls House. He makes the first one, and he airballs the second. Now instead of that being a violation, right. He didn't touch the rim. He didn't touch rim, which is a violation. And instead of calling that, it went uncalled and time expired, and Utah State does not cover. It's just things that make you go, just weird, Rob. Too much of that in college basketball these days, man.
Oh, ain't that the truth?
I mean, I'm just like, where is the purity and the integrity in this sport? Where has it gone? Now that was just a case clearly of the officials not like remembering or caring about the rules. But I mean, again, people wager real dollars on these games, man. Like, I just can't. Like, what if it would have been a tie game? What if it would have been that you have to know the rules if you're the officials, right? That is your job description.
Mm-hmm.
Weird things happen at the end.
Yeah. All right, let's hit some other brackets. Let's go to the Big Ten, Trevor. We're gonna keep you on your toes here. Look at Trevor just delivering. This is a production-based business, and he puts the produce in producer. Okay, Purdue's the 1 seed. I tell you this, Rob. I mean, it's another really nice road for the 1 seed in this one too, isn't it?
I mean, look. If I'm Purdue, the team that I'm most scared of in this conference is Northwestern, because they have the one guy in Boo Buie who I think has the specific skill set that I think you need to be able to beat Purdue and Zach Edey's drop coverage, right? Like I don't know if there's anybody in college basketball that is better at coming off of a ball screen, getting somebody on their hip, putting them in jail, and then finding a way to score in that mid-range than Boo Buie. And we saw it the first time they played when he had 31-9, 31-9 assists, no turnovers, and Northwestern beat Purdue in overtime. We saw it the second game when Chris Collins got run in a one-possession game with a minute left. So I think that is a tougher matchup than people are going to give it credit for. But I'm blanking on his name. Jerel, who's the guy that tore his ACL? On Northwestern, Ty Berry.
Oh, the guy Tyler Berry.
Yeah. Like having him out is a big one. So I don't know. Right. I think Purdue runs it, but let's go to another one, man. This is fun. Get him on his toes. See what he's got. See what he's got, John.
All right. Let's go to the. I'll do the power. I'll do this. The randomizer here. Let's go to the Big 12. Can we put the Big 12 up, Trevor? Houston.
He's got it.
Seed. This guy's amazing. All right, who intrigues you here, Jerel?
Houston is minus 165 to win the Big 12 tournament. Can we talk about that BetMGM? Minus 165, Houston in this league.
Look at their draw, man. I mean, they got the right side of it once again. Jerel, is there anybody in this field that you think, other than Houston, might be able to take it down?
I mean, obviously you got. I would say Kansas, but I think maybe Baylor. Yeah. Maybe Baylor can get there in the championship game and give Houston a really a tough run for their money. I don't like the way Kansas is trending right now, though. They're in trouble. Dickinson hurt himself that last game. He'll be out for a while, if not the rest of the way. So it looked like a dislocated shoulder. I'm not 100% sure, but I would roll with Baylor. Baylor, Houston probably in this one, unless Houston gets upset or stubs their toe somewhere. The way they've been rolling, though, man, they're clicking on all cylinders right now. I don't see that happening.
Yeah, give me Baylor here. They beat Iowa State, albeit it was at home, and they should have beat Houston if Yves Missy was able to make a free throw. I think the way that you have to be able to beat Houston is have shooters on the perimeter and guards that are good enough to be able to come off of those ball screens and throw skip passes to the weak side of the floor. Houston loves sending two guys off of a ball screen and putting everybody on the strong side of the floor. You got to have someone that can make the pass to those weak side off the live dribble, and Baylor's got like 2 or 3 of those guys, and they just so happen to be maybe the best 3-point shooting team in college basketball. They shoot 40.4% from 3. So give me the Bears to win it all at 8-1 odds, John. BetMGM. I'm going to take all your money this week, man. I'm going to take all your money, BetMGM.
I think it's a really good idea. I think it's a really good look. All right, you mentioned it, and I think it's a good way to go out. Toast the night to Zach Edey for sure. As illustrious as a career as it gets in college basketball. So toast to Zach Edey. Also to Longwood, to Drake, to Stetson, for Morehead State for punching their tickets. You're in the tournament. What a beautiful week.
John, let's end it with this. May we all have Longwood and Morehead.
That's right.